It's the 41 Jobs podcast. Ian here with you, just talking about random stuff today. It's been a couple months since I've done it. I think my last episode was episode 12. I think it was January 22nd when I talked to Laurent Cox, the bodybuilder that's going to do a natural bodybuilding show in April in Indianapolis. So that was the last show I did. I just got kind of busy on the weekends, and that's about the only time I can do it, but I'm on spring break this week, and I'm not working, so I figured I'd drop another podcast for you. Just a few things. Hopefully you didn't hear that. Just some things I've been thinking about is the NCAA tournament, the IU coaching job for basketball is open. Tom Crean got fired, and I know a lot of Purdue and Butler fans don't really give a crap because they're in the tournament and IU's not, so they're all whining about how much attention IU's getting. But traditionally, people my age and older, IU's pretty big deal. So everybody wants to talk about it. But the funny thing is, they're talking about who the coach is and why it's so important to have a great coach and win again. They haven't won a national title since '87. They haven't been in the tournament or been in the NCAA tournament final since I think 01, 02. And that's been about it. So it's just, things happen and teams aren't as good as they used to be. So it's not that big of an issue, really. I mean, I know people desperately want them to be like Kentucky and North Carolina and Kansas, and their IU's just not there anymore. So, but then you got Butler and Purdue, and Butler's been in the tournament final twice. Purdue, good and bad, but they always whine and cry. But the bottom line is, until Purdue and Butler win one, they're not going to get the credit that, probably is due to them, I guess. So, well, in the tournament, the first 2 weeks, or the first weekend, where you have the four days of games, it's really awesome. And you get really excited. The games are good. And then you watch so much, it's just hard to watch the next weekend. I don't know about you, but for me it is. I might try to get into a couple games, but it's just not as exciting as it is the first weekend. So, and I don't follow basketball like I used to, or sports in general. And one reason is I cut my satellite service off because it's just ridiculous. The prices you pay for it and the time you watch it. I only watch sports on it. My wife and kids only watched a little bit, and my kids are so into YouTube, they don't even need TV anymore. They either watch Netflix or YouTube all the time, or Vines, or whatever they call it on the internet. So they don't even watch it, really. I mean, they don't care less. Kids could care less what's on TV. So I can't imagine satellites and cable companies doing well in the future, unless people just don't mind just shelling out a bunch of money for the service and not getting a whole lot in return. I know we don't. We went to Netflix and we upped our Spotify account because our kids and my wife and kids like music a lot, and so do I. And Spotify is pretty cool. You just pay a family fee, a premium fee, and basically $14 you get to download as much music as you want, and you keep it on your phone or device, and it's a pretty good deal. And we went to a digital antenna too, so at least we can watch news, local news, and networks, and it's really good HD. So I put up a antenna that only costs like $20-$30, and I put it on my roof, and I can get NFL games in the fall. Some big national sporting events and stuff like that, and regular TV. The bad thing is you can't DVR it. It sucks in that respect. But it's really saving us money. I mean, we upped our internet a little bit, so still save money over having DirecTV. But I really don't miss it. I watch Netflix, and I don't really miss it. But the thing is, for sports knowledge and stuff I don't really have as much. So this NCAA tournament thing, I really have no idea who's good and who's not. And really with this thing, the first round or two really doesn't matter. The third and fourth round, it's probably good to have good knowledge about who's in it left, but who's left in it. But the first two rounds, I think anybody, if you have some idea about the seedings and you just look up on the internet, the odds of 15s and 16s winning over 2s and 1s, and, they got the 7-10 matchup. I think I'm right, and 11-6. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. The 2-15. Like, virtually nobody's ever beat a 1 seed except maybe once. You have to correct me. I'm not exactly right. But it's just silly. After the first week, I'm about spent with it. And I was doing really good. I was number 1 in both my brackets coming into Sunday. And then I had one team get beat, and it pretty much is just screwed now. The bracket's busted. So it kind of sucks. But I was hoping to do good in it. Something that's been kind of weird, but I've been listening to the radio a lot, and I hear these IHSAA PSAs, or public service announcements.
For just 2% of a typical school's budget, high school sports give us plenty of energy and excitement. For just 2%, they also give us young people whose leadership and commitment to excellence will pay big dividends in our community for years to come. 2%. That's one investment we can all feel good about. High school sports. Pure spirit, pure sport, pure launching pad for life.
Well, what I don't understand is that's just an example of the PSAs that they're putting out on the radio all the time. Especially if you listen to sports radio, it's going to have these PSAs about the IHSAA. Well, if you're not from Indiana, that's the Indiana High School Athletic Association, and it's sad that they have to beg. They're begging families to support it. They're begging kids to join in it. There's other PSAs where they say it's safe to play football and all that good stuff. Well, the NFL tries to tell you it's safe too, but we're finding out that, public perception, it's not good. People want to play soccer now, and they skip football, and football's awesome. I mean, I don't care if it's high school, NFL, or college. It's awesome to watch, but that doesn't mean it's good for you physically or mentally. But they're begging people to play sports in high school. It's so sad. And that kind of goes back to the kids getting on YouTube. I think kids would rather do that stuff than play sports. I mean, a lot of boys play video games. Some girls do. But I think girls, and I have two, 13 and 9, almost 14 and 10, they would rather watch YouTube or get on Instagram or FaceTime their friends and stuff like that instead of participating. I mean, my daughter does stuff. I'm not saying she doesn't participate, but I could see how kids wouldn't. They're having so much entertainment and everything's so now and instant. They don't really need, I don't know. It's just sad that people don't do as much as they used to outdoors and find other things to do. When you didn't have a choice, when you didn't have options, you found other things to do, whether you read or you went outside and just messed around. I mean, I know I was probably bored, but I do remember doing a lot of stuff outside, like walking with my dog or shooting baskets in my barn or going out in the woods and shooting my BB gun and stuff like that, or practicing sports and stuff. Or just, I don't know. For my kids, it's just kind of hard because there's really not a lot of choices for them unless they can find something to do outside. Their choices are playing video games, YouTube, Vines, get on the computer and have an instant entertainment, and and they can talk to their friends and by text or by FaceTime and stuff like that. So, I can understand why the IHSAA is begging people to participate because it's, it's not your, just your normal kid that plays sports. It's the kids that parents push them to play sports all the time, and they're interested in playing sports a lot. But the kids that are kind of marginal and just want to try stuff and just live life, kind of leisurely, they want to try stuff like that. Like when I was growing up, I joined tennis and really didn't know much about it, and I really liked it. But if it wasn't for public school sports like the IHSAA, I wouldn't have ever tried tennis and known I really even liked it. And played baseball, and it was a lot of fun. And the IHSAA is pretty much free. I mean, I know some schools charge kids for stuff, and you still have to pay for equipment and stuff like that, but it's still a pretty good deal. And I can see why IHSAA is making these PSAs, but it's sad that they have to do that. So Also, found out I'm going to go to Italy. My dad is having a 70th birthday gift, and that's going to Italy. And he's going to fly me and my sister and my brother-in-law and my wife and kids, and we're all going to Italy in July. So that's something coming up that I'm pretty excited about. But I was scared to death of going over to Europe, thinking, no, it's a long flight. It's scary. There, terrorist threats and stuff. Well, we have them here. And I just said, hey, screw it. You'll only live once. You might as well take advantage of those opportunities when you can. I'm obviously not going to turn it down. My dad's flying me free and my family free over there to stay in a really, really nice place in Italy. So I'm really getting geeked up about it. I'm really nervous. I'll probably get a lot more nervous towards the more close to the date we're taking off. So it's kind of exciting. I'm kind of nervous about it, kind of interested. I'm thinking it was probably maybe kind of dangerous to go to another country and not know the language and stuff, but a lot of people we've talked to about it, they said, Italy's really safe, it's nice, Europe's really nice generally, so we probably got nothing to worry about other than the flight, and you're scared you're gonna die in a airplane crash, which I'm sure there's about 1 million flights a day, or not 1 million, but thousands of flights per day across the world that go off and without a hitch. So, shouldn't worry too much. It's more unsafe to drive a car, but it's just crazy how people think that plane flight or air flight is, a lot worse, which probably isn't at all. All right, aside from that, my wife and I have been doing this diet. It's kind of weird, but it's the keto diet. And what we've been doing since about midsummer, we've been eating like fattening food, high-fat food. And you think, well, everybody thinks, you're gonna die of a heart attack eating fattening food. Not necessarily. I guess I just took a bite of bacon cauliflower casserole that's full of heavy cream and butter and bacon fat. Sorry for chewing on the podcast, but basically what the diet is, you eat vegetables, not very much fruit, and lots of fatty meat and nuts and high fat, like healthy and I guess what people call unhealthy fats. So what you eat is you eat bacon. You cook your food in bacon grease or olive oil, coconut oil, but they really highly recommend you use bacon grease because the fat and coconut oil and the fattening content in coconut oil and bacon grease is really, really high, and the saturated fat is really, really high. But these researchers and doctors claim that with the keto diet, if you eat that stuff, it makes your body want to burn fat more than it did before. Because when you're eating carbs and sugars, that's what the body uses for energy. And that's what most people were ingrained or programmed to think that was the right way to eat. Not necessarily that's the right way to eat. Man-made sugars and high fructose corn syrup and all that stuff, that's not natural stuff. I mean, sugar's natural, of course. That comes out of plants, but that doesn't mean it's good for you. And what sugar does is it just, your body burns that, but it really doesn't burn fat. So people thought, well, if you have a semi-high carbohydrate diet and a low-fat diet, you're going to lose weight. Well, not necessarily. You pretty much need to work out and watch your calories. Because if you don't burn those sugar calories, it turns into fat eventually anyway. If you don't burn it. So that sugar, actually, the book I read is called The Real Meal Revolution by, I think it's a Dr. Noakes from South Africa. He said he's done tons of research on it. It's kind of based off the Atkins diet back in, I think it's the 60s or 70s. Yeah, 60s, I think, where you eat high protein